Welcome to CS225 Computer User Support class. I'm your instructor, Robert McMillen, and we're now on Module 3. We're going to talk about Chapter 5, Common Support Problems. Our chapter objectives are several categories of common end-user computer problems, problem-solving processes that can be applied to typical support problems, hardware, software, user, documentation, vendor, operating environment, and network problems. Hardware installation and compatibility problems, hardware configuration problems, and hardware malfunctions. Hardware installation and compatibility problems. Hardware problems can occur during installation of new systems or upgrades of existing systems. Incompatible components are unable to operate together in the same system, may be due to incorrect installation or just incompatibility issues. Hardware configuration problems result when hardware or software component settings are incorrect for a specific operating system, which was more common before plug-and-play standards. Prior to plug-and-play, it was very difficult to add a device without something going wrong. So, for an example, incorrect graphics display card settings would show a distorted view or no view on your computer monitor. Plug-and-play standards, industry-wide protocols, agreed upon standards, followed by hardware and operating system vendors, solved a lot of these problems. They specify the communication methods an operating system uses to recognize and incorporate hardware components into an operational system. And they can help load appropriate drivers, but do not always automatically adjust software settings to take maximum advantage of new hardware's capabilities. Among malfunctions, computer malfunctions account for a small percentage of hardware problems. It can be reduced with a burn-in test. So when a computer is built, we do a 48 to 78 hour period where the computer is just run continuously to see what may go wrong. It can uncover obvious problems and identify components whose operation is marginal or temperature sensitive. An example would be an inoperative keyboard. Hardware malfunctions continued, most likely to fail electromechanical devices that have moving parts like a hard drive or a printer. Least likely to fail may be a CPU or RAM. Hardware diagnostic tools can help identify system burn-in and hardware malfunctions. An example would be PC Diag or PC Doctor, and there's diagnostics also built into Windows as well. So what are some effective hardware problem-solving steps? Check the availability of updated device drivers. If you have the latest device drivers, you can usually count out those kinds of issues. Use Windows troubleshooters such as the Fix-It Solution Center. Check Windows Device Manager for problems. From there you can see if there is a hardware resource issue or a driver problem. Examine README files. Those come with the driver installations that can help. And search Internet for problem reports. When all else fails, just go onto Google or Bing and type in what the issue is. Software problems. You can have software problems because of installation compatibility problems, configuration, bugs, and performance. All of those can cause software not to work, and software problems make up the majority of computer issues. So when someone calls to say they're having an issue, most likely it's going to be software related. Not all software installs automatically. Sometimes you have to choose manual options. The vendor solution is installation software, a utility that aids in the installation of other software packages. It examines hardware configuration to determine if this is the right thing to install it on. It creates folders with correct path names, sets configuration options and software to match hardware, copies files to correct folders, updates Windows registry and other startup files. A common problem is application software incompatible with a new operating system version. So many times you have software which is much older than the operating system you're on, and you have to run it in compatibility mode. There are different types of software out there. Besides commercial products, there's shareware, which is an evaluation or trial period of 10 to 45 days before purchase. Freeware, free for personal use, may not be exhaustively tested for compatibility. Donationware, which is freeware for which a donation is requested by the author. And open source software, free for personal or business use, designed and developed collaboratively by a team of programmers, may carry OSI design certification. Shareware used to be, and there are still some shareware out there, which was the same as freeware, but you can create a donation. But they've since that time, in the last 10 to 15 years, have changed that. So shareware is just the evaluation period for a commercial product, and donationware is now freeware, which requires or requests a donation. Conflict can occur when two software packages use system resources, such as CPU, memory, or peripheral devices, in different and incompatible ways. The result is an inoperable system or poor performance. It can also result when software options are not set correctly for specific operating environment or hardware. It may occur when users install or upgrade new hardware or software, attempt to use a software feature for the first time, attempt to modify configuration information in the system, Windows registry, or other startup files. And of course, the Windows registry is the database of configuration information that allows you to boot your computer into Windows. Linux uses a lot of text files in place of the registry. So if you want to edit problems that happen when you boot up, you would edit these text files. A common problem: installing a new application program changes the default file associations in the operating system. So for instance, if you have a Windows computer and you go to open up MP4 files, AVI files, those kinds of video files, and then you install QuickTime, QuickTime will try to grab all those files and use it to open with its program, and there may be compatibility issues. Let's talk about software bugs. A bug is a major error in a program due to programmers' coding mistakes. That happens a lot. Programmers' inability to anticipate every situation. A lot of times programmers will lazily copy in other people's code and try to jam it into theirs so they don't have to work quite as hard. And that causes all kinds of problems. The original term of a bug was there actually used to be a time when bugs would get into a computer system and would eat the wires, eat the coding on the wires. So that's where the term bug came about, because computers started acting funny, and when you open up the back of the case, you would find bugs in them. But now we refer to them as programmers' mistakes, and programmers make a lot of them. They occur more often in custom written programs and programs written for a limited market segment. They also don't get as updated as often, the custom programs. They occur most often in infrequently used features of a program, reduced through extensive beta testing, which programmers don't typically do. And an example would be an incorrect format of large dollar amounts in an accounting program that could cause all kinds of accounting issues. A patch is a replacement for one or a few modules in a software package to fix known bugs. Unfortunately, sometimes the patches actually cause new unknown bugs that can cause computer crashes or software problems. They're usually designated by adding a digit or letter to a version number, such as 1.0 might be the first version, and then a revision might be 1.1, 1.2, etc. An update is a bug fix software release. It repairs known bugs in a previous version, and some vendors offer automatic updates, such as Windows updates, via the internet to download and install updates and keep programs up to date. Service packs are a little bit different, sometimes referred to as service releases. They contain both updates and patches to fix problems with a version of the program. They tend to be much larger in size. New release is an updated version of a program. It contains new features the previous release did not have. A new version contains significant new features, usually the result of a substantially rewritten program. An upgrade is a new version of an existing program, and it's typically sold at a lower price to owners of a previous version of the program. Now, Microsoft Office used to be sold that way. You could buy Office 95, and then when Office 97 came about, you could upgrade to it. Now they no longer do that. They found it just causes too many problems. So, software release numbering. You have 2.0, first release of a new version, anything that ends in a 0.0. 2.1, an update release with new features. 2.11, a bug fix release. 2.1, SP1, an updated version with a service pack. Some vendors use the year of release as a primary version designation, such as Office 2010. Before installing a software patch or service pack, you want to verify that the patch applies to the software on a user's system. Make a backup copy of the original program. Install patches in the sequence specified by the vendor. After installing a software patch, keep a record of patches installed in case the software needs to be reinstalled, which typically does happen about 10% of the time. Test the software to ensure it is operational. So, workaround, a procedure or operation that accomplishes the same result as an original feature that does not work. An example might be a keyboard command, menu, toolbar, or shortcut keys. So basically what this accomplishes is that if you find a bug, but you find another way to do what you're originally trying to do before the bug fix is released, then sometimes the vendor will tell you to use this. Performance problems occur when a computer is operational, but performance is inefficient. They often result from a combination of hardware and software problems. An example would be slow read-write times on a hard drive, and it may be due to lack of free space, fragmented files, wasted space, insufficient RAM, malware, or drive malfunction. So everything works, it just works much more slowly. Other user problems could be mistakes, misunderstandings about how to use the product, wrong product, ordering the wrong product for what they're trying to accomplish, inadequate information or training from the vendor, that happens quite often, or forgotten information. User mistakes account for a significant percentage of common problems. An example would be inadvertent keystroke errors. The solution would be a well-designed computer system. Anticipate potential user mistakes, validity check on data input, alert the user, provide corrective action such as the undo option. User misunderstandings. Product features or limitations are not well understood. An example would be a user expects a product to be able to perform tasks for which it was not intended. So for instance, you're trying to use the spreadsheet function on a Word document. It's possible to do that, make some of it work, but not all the different features will be available. So they'll have to use Excel to do that instead. The wrong products. Users may purchase or install the wrong product to accomplish a task. An example would be purchase of a software package or hardware peripheral that is incompatible with the existing system. Purchase of software without understanding its capabilities, limitations, knowledge of an alternative program. So make sure that your customers don't have the wrong product. Another problem would be inadequate information or training. Many problems occur because the user has not been properly trained to use the hardware and software. Quick start behavior, a tendency among computer users to skip the installation manual. A lot of products come with quick start manuals that are very simple, but they're really designed for people who have a working knowledge of the product, not for new users. Forgotten information. Users forget lots of things. Usernames, passwords, pins, operating procedures. The solution would be to have reference sheets as they're an effective aid to recall procedures. A tip would be users should be encouraged to write down a reminder of their password instead of the password itself. And Windows allows you to do that in the operating system when you install it now. Documentation problems. Common sources of documentation problems would be poor organization, incorrect information, or incomplete information. A frequent source of user frustration. Got to have it organized, and it's got to be complete and accurate. Good documentation. Quick start guide. There's nothing wrong with quick start guides as long as that the right people use them. A tutorial for beginners is very helpful. Reference manual for experienced users, for those who need to do more than just what the basic type of application use is. Troubleshooting guide for when things go wrong. Online help with a search function is very crucial. So when you're picking a product for your company, you want to look for all these different things as well as troubleshooting wizards. Common vendor problems would be a tendency to oversell the product. Salespeople tend to do that a lot. They'll say it can do things it can't do or can't do well, such as misrepresent product features, the delivery of software with known bugs. Of course, Microsoft will do that all the time with software. Late delivery of products, promise of purchase rebates, vaporware, hardware or software products that are described in vendor ads but never really got created or released. The purpose, it would be to gauge market demand. Let's see how many people are actually interested in it, or to confuse competitors. Problems with the computing facilities would cause operating environment problems, such as electricity, lighting, air conditioning, office furniture, workplace ergonomics, and safety. Problems with the computer environment, you have data backup and recovery. You got to make sure you got good backup and recovery procedures that are tested. Security threats. Of course, you always have to watch out for malware and hacking. Disaster and contingency planning and preparation must be done as a walkthrough to make sure it works before you actually do have a disaster, which every company eventually does. Network problems are often a combination of hardware problems and software problems. An example, use of network monitoring software to detect a network bottleneck that was caused by inadequate free space on the server's hard drive. So you might think it's one thing, but it turns out to be another. Troubleshooting resources on the web. You've got some different websites here. General troubleshooting. You've got hardware troubleshooting. Tom's Hardware is a good one. We do use that one a lot. Some other ones listed here. Software troubleshooting. Of course, Microsoft themselves has really good software. They even have incompatibility issue documentation for third-party software as well. And of course, you can use your favorite search engine. You want to add Bing into that, as they're coming on strong as of late. Problem-solving processes applied to typical end-user problems. Problem 1 sounds like trouble. Problem 2, the problem with modems. Give credit where credit is due. Antivirus protection, worth every cent you pay for it. The path not taken, the non-responsive network, and the big red X. So, in our chapter summary, we talked about hardware and software problems, user and documentation problems, vendor problems, operating system, and network problems. Let's get right into chapter 6. Our objectives will be help desk operational procedures, the multi-level support model, incident management process, best practices in help desk, physical layout of help desk work areas, job stress, hardware and software tools, help desk industry trends. What is a help desk? An organization that provides a single point of contact for users in need of technical support. Remember that definition. You might need it on a quiz or test coming up. Goal: to enhance client satisfaction by effectively and efficiently resolving problems and questions. Solving problems is your main job as a computer user support person. Some of the other titles are listed there. Multi-level support model, a help desk structure, and organizes support staff and service into levels. We talked about this in the previous module. Each level is staffed by workers with different skills. So you could have vertical skills, or you could have horizontal skills, where they just have different skills, not necessarily better skills. Also called the frontline backline model. The goal is to handle as many incidents as possible at the lowest level in the support hierarchy. So the more incidents that are taken care of at level 1, the better. Save scarce resources or more expensive ones, such as the level 2 and 3, for incidences where more or different expertise is needed. Incident management is a well-defined formal process help desk staff follow to. So you've got handle problem incidents, get information to users, solve user problems, that's the biggest one, and maintain records about the incident. You want to make sure you write it down so the next time somebody in the company has the problem, it can be resolved much more quickly. Call management, primarily concerned with handling telephone contacts. So here's the steps in the incident management process. You've got to receive the incident. It could be a phone call or somebody walking into your office. Pre-screen the incident, find out what the appropriate level is, authenticate the user, log the incident, screen the incident, prioritize the incident, assign the incident, track it, escalate it, resolve it, close it, and then archive it. So step number 1, sources of incidents. You've got email, web-based, in-person, phone call, etc. Goal: establish an initial relationship with the user. Find out who they are, get them feeling comfortable. Pre-screening, a filtering process to determine how the help desk staff will handle the incident. Again, the goal is the incident screener may handle a simple request for information, how to order, where to purchase, that kind of thing. It may not be a problem, it may just be a question. Authenticate the user. Authentication procedure determines whether help desk staff are authorized to handle an incident. May involve checking registration database. If they're using information that is no longer being serviced, then you may not be able to help them. The goal is to determine the status of each client, filter out unauthorized clients, and establish a billing procedure if there is no support for the product that they're calling about. Logging. You've got to log the incident. To begin to document the incident and the related problem, record basic information about a trouble report form, an incident tracking database, and your goal is to start a record of the incident. Screen the incident. Screening categorizes and describes an incident, common incident categories, request information, question, problem, complaint, work or service order. So we're screening again. We had pre-screening before, now we've got screening. The goal is to define the category of an incident and capture a brief description of the incident so it goes to the right support person. Priority code is assigned based on how serious the problem is, how many users are affected, and the consequences of not handling the problem immediately. Some incidents are not going to be a high priority, so you need to make sure you get those to the bottom of the list. The goal is to priority code often determines the kind of attention an incident will receive from support staff. Example of priority codes: urgent, high, medium, low. High priority has to be taken care of right away. Priority codes often determine the response time of support staff, and priority codes may change as an incident is handled. Priority codes at Cisco's Technical Assistance Center is an example here. So their priority 1 means network down, no workaround available, business processes critical. That means got to get somebody on it right away. Priority 2, network badly degraded, no workaround available, business processes are impacted, but not necessarily completely down. Priority 3, network is degraded, most business processes are working. Priority 4, a user needs installation or configuration support or information on a Cisco product. Queue, a waiting line into which incoming incidents are placed when they cannot be answered immediately. A queue may be defined for each priority code, different products, types of customers, and levels of support. So basically it's just a waiting line on the phone. When a level 1 incident or screener cannot respond to an incident directly, it gets assigned to another agent who has specific product knowledge or specialized expertise. The goal in this case is to move each incident into a queue where it will get appropriate attention. Tracking updates incident information as an incident is processed, as new information is added to the incident log. So these are the updates. Those updates can be internal or they can be viewable by the client themselves. Of course, they always appreciate that. The goal is to provide a record when important events occur, a history of how an incident was handled. Provides data as well. It measures the quality of the incident handling, evaluates support agent performance, and it identifies support staff training needs. Escalation. Escalation is a normal process in which an incident is transferred to a higher level support agent who has greater ability or expertise or resources to handle more difficult problems. The goal is to resolve a difficult problem more effectively and efficiently. Escalation may be automatic if an incident is not resolved within a predefined time period. So we have a ticketing system at my office where if something doesn't get handled within a certain amount of time, it automatically gets escalated to the next level. Ownership of an incident should be clearly defined when an incident is escalated. Who is the owner of that? Ownership moves to higher tier when necessary, and ownership transfers to team or manager. Resolution. The user's problem has been solved or information has been provided. A complaint may be referred to product designers as a suggestion for the next product revision cycle or a bug fix. Caveats. Not all incidents can be completely resolved by the incident management process, and resolution doesn't necessarily mean the client is completely satisfied. The resolution may be that there is no resolution. Goal. Minimize the percentage of incidents that cannot be resolved satisfactorily. Next step is to close the incident. Incident closing may include review the steps to solve the problem, seek mutual agreement that a solution has been reached, thank the user, invite the user to contact the help desk again, and make final entries in the incident log. And as another goal in some cases, some companies would be to send some sort of a report or evaluation on the experience that the client had. Goals would be to provide technical and interpersonal closure to an incident and complete the log of the incident. Archive, copy resolved incidents to a database of completed incidents. That way other people can search for it and reduce the time it takes to resolve an issue. Best practices, procedures, tools, and methods that successful support groups use. An example would be information technology infrastructure library, Guidelines cover incident management, problem management, change, release, and configuration management. Change management is going to be one of the most important things. That is when you get together as a team along with the different department heads that software change will affect. It could be all of them, it could be some of them. So you get together and discuss when the best time and the best procedure to make a change. And that is really key to keeping problems from happening. Incident management, disruption of normal services. Goal is to restore computer services to normal as quickly as possible. Problem management, strategies to find and fix the root cause of the problem. The goal is to anticipate, repair, and eliminate the cause of problems. Change management we discussed. Release management, implement change management procedures. So anything that was decided in change management, you need the release management to actually guide a smooth implementation of changes. Configuration management, maintain asset inventory database. Goal is to identify, control, monitor, and audit technology assets. Desks in a cubicle would be the part of the physical layout of help desk work areas. Access to one or more computer systems. Sometimes certain job functions require more than one computer. Access to reference information library. Of course, that's key to helping out with issues. And telephone headsets permit freedom of motion. So if you have someone with a handset up to their ear all day, then you could cause neck strain as well as elbow strain. Issues would be job stress, diversions for staff, and workplace ergonomics. Job stress results from physical and emotional responses due to a mismatch between a worker's characteristics and job requirements. Sometimes it's due to inadequate training, lack of qualifications. Sometimes it's just the person was never taught how to handle job stress, and that causes them to implode and possibly walk off the job or need to be replaced. Symptoms of job stress: fatigue and insomnia, head and body aches, inability to concentrate, expressions of anger, substance abuse, low morale, low self-esteem. But there are solutions to job stress: personal stress management techniques and strategies, and organizational change. Of course, therapy is also becoming a big part of businesses as well. Changes in working conditions reduce job stress, reduce excessive noise, distractions, interruptions. Work breaks, frequent and scheduled, and use of employee lounge, cafeteria, and break room. Help desk technology and tools. Impact of automation on help desk industry. Help desk software. Tools for agents, tools for managers, tools for end users. There's going to be different tools based on who you are. Computer telephony systems and web-based support are all help desk technology and tools that you can use. Log and track incidents, manage incident queues, interface with telephone systems. Sometimes they are linked together. Most of the times they're not, however. You can set priorities, assign incidents to support staff, and escalate incidents. Client information, you want to store and edit and recall that information in a searchable database as quickly and easily as possible. Additional tools would be the links to product information. So you want to know about the product itself and if there's any known bugs or compatibility problems. Are there newer versions than what the customer is using? And the availability of the product in case it hasn't been released yet. Access to configuration information for client systems consists of hardware configuration, software licenses, and network protocols. Problem solution knowledge base contains information about common problems and their solutions, sometimes called a smart database. It may use search strategies based on artificial intelligence. Expert systems, such as if-then rules, sort of use a fuzzy logic. Neural networks, automated learning systems, and case-based reasoning pattern matching strategies. Some of the higher-end software companies have this type of addition to help in troubleshooting products. Diagnostic utilities, tools to assist in diagnosing and repairing problems, remote access to user systems, lots of different tools we talked about in the last module on how to do that. Links to communication and information resources, external connections to email, chat, and web, internal connections to online help, product documentation, and problem archives. Product order entry capability, can integrate with other business systems such as shipping and invoicing, all great help desk agent tools. Sometimes your companies will have them and sometimes they don't. Agent time management tools, calendaring, automated reminders to call people, meeting and project scheduling, warning alarms in case a ticket or an incident becomes too old without being resolved, Collaborative tools for you to all talk together. To do priority lists is a big help. And project management tools. Asset management, equipment inventory, asset ID numbers, software licenses, system installation information. When you have a working knowledge of where your assets are, who has them, that can be a big help to the company, especially as equipment ages and needs to be replaced, and also to avoid theft. Service management, warranty information, reminders of next preventive maintenance, and service history. So you want to make sure that you know what the history is of the computer and when the next maintenance needs to happen, just like a car. A lot of times contracts will have service level agreements. An SLA is a contract that defines expected performance of user support services or external vendor provided services. It specifies response times, specifies performance objectives, and monitors and reports contract performance. SLAs can define 3 performance relationships: user support for internal users, user support for external clients, and user support for vendors. A typical SLA would be that if someone calls you on a weekend, how long it would be before you respond or attempt to resolve the issue. Client feedback includes evaluations collected from help desk users about their level of satisfaction. So a feedback form sent to a client after a resolution can really help to find out if the user support staff are doing a good job. Statistical reports, predefined report examples. You've got abandonment rate, callers who just hang up, number of unresolved incidents, average length of time on hold, average time to resolve problems, productivity of agents, performance compared to SLA expectations, inventory control reports, and frequency of problem types. So these are all examples of predefined reports that you can use. You can also, of course, create custom reports as well. Customizable interfaces, forms, and reports augment predefined reports to address specific management information needs. The telephone system interface manages large numbers of incoming and outgoing calls. Automated incident management defines if-then business rules to automatically route incidents to agents, route incidents to queues, and escalate incidents. And a good example of that would be when you call in an automated system and it asks you which product you're calling about. Direct end-user access to help desk software and databases reduces the cost to provide support. Access to information on support website with the product information and the incident archive. Ability to submit an incident. A lot of times we have companies that want to allow the customers to submit an incident into the database rather than make a phone call. Monitor resolution progress, and of course submit feedback. Popular help desk software packages. You've got large scale enterprises. This list changes all the time. We're currently using ConnectWise, which is the very popular one that's going on today. Of course, in a couple of years, that might be a different product altogether. Some people are using some of the ones that are listed on this particular page as well. There are low-cost or free software or small help desk operations such as Spiceworks, but a lot of these free ones just aren't as good as the commercial ones. So let's take a look at HelpStar, which is a commercial product. And you've got for instance, the request type, the requester, the category. These are all different things you can put into your ticket when you go to create one. And here is a summary of the tickets, or a summary for the inbox for a response. And when you create the ticket, it gets sent off to the client, and then they can respond back to you. Here's your service requests, calendar, email communication back and forth to the client, documents for incident reports, archives, and then asset information as well. It's all things we talked about. So here's some communication here. You've got the location, the category, the problem description, and the resolution. And here under assets, we've got the asset name, the tag, the serial number, all kinds of information about those assets that can be recorded. Of course, you also want to include who checked it out. And here's some information saying who has done what on these tickets, how long they've been out there, types of tickets, the response, that kind of thing. Computer telephony, the integration of computer and telephone technology into a seamless help desk communication tool. Automated Call Distributor, ACD, a computer telephony system that automates the first steps in incident management. So it'd be when you call up or when a client calls up and they're greeted by a computer instead of by a person. It helps route to the proper support agent. ACD goals are to reduce time and cost to respond to calls, get them to the right person as soon as possible, and monitor that information. Some of the problems: the reputation for poor customer service, poor design of menus, lengthy hold times, and repetitious requests for information, and dropped calls. So all those things are caused by the computer automated system, which is why some people have moved back, such as in our office. We moved back to having an actual person answer the phone. Common features of ACD systems: skill set distribution, routes calls to agent with expertise, overflow routing to available agents, call accounting provides statistics, lost call reporting provides statistics on abandonment rate. So all these different things can really help determine whether or not your system is working as it should. Interactive voice response lets the user interact with a database. Instead of pushing a button, they can also speak simple words into the phone. Web-based support, all kinds of information here: product information, order entry, etc., etc. Troubleshooting wizards. Web support advantages: lowers cost to provide support compared to other methods, helps users to be more self-reliant, reduces errors due to misconfiguration and miscommunication, and eliminates user time spent waiting on phone for help desk agent. So it's supposed to save time, supposed to save money. Email is asynchronous. User and support staff do not have to be available online at the same time. It's one of the great things about email, unlike a web chat session. Email responses make more flexible use of support agents' time, and email responses to frequent questions can be composed in advance and pasted into messages. Many times, if a common problem occurs, you can write up a paragraph, save that paragraph, and then paste it in along with some custom information to make things go more quickly. Impact of web and email use on support staff: it's more efficient use of the staff resources. Writing skills are more important. You got to make sure that they are using spell check, that kind of thing, and are constructing sentences properly. Quick recall is less important than the ability to locate information. The ability to listen is less important than the ability to read and understand, and customer service skills remain important. So this class will focus on all of these different things to help make you better at being a support staff. Intranet, a network modeled after the internet with information organized into web pages. So intranet is all internal, cannot be accessed by the outside or by anyone outside of your company. It facilitates communication between an organization's employees and support staff. It uses familiar technology such as a web browser or simple search engine. Provides improved security communication compared with the internet. Now, if you have an intranet where users can log in or customers can log in, that's called an extranet. Technology trends: cloud computing, virtualization of software platforms, support for wireless technology, and remote diagnosis and voice response technologies. Those are all trends in help desk operation. Our particular help desk product, ConnectWise, we could bring in-house or we could have it cloud hosted. We've chosen to have it cloud hosted. Help desk workplace trends: outsourcing so you can handle multiple clients as a support staff instead of just one company. Demand for certified workers, all kinds of certifications. Microsoft has the most popular, as well as A+. Telecommuting as a work style, of course, requires a lot of phone support. Adoption of industry's best practices, pressure to reduce support costs, use of web-based support portals, use of quantitative metrics, resources devoted to security, and help desk software integration. Cloud computing is user access to computer software data and services over the internet. There's a couple of different models. There's the subscription-based services or pay-as-you-go. One of the advantages is the users always access the latest version of the software. That can be a big advantage because upgrading or changing versions causes a lot of cost for both time and troubleshooting. Programs and data are available from any internet connection and promotes collaboration among users. A lot of times you can also use different operating systems and get the same experience. Disadvantages: when the internet is down, you're down, so you're just not working. Of course, there are security concerns, and it may not reduce the cost if the cost of the subscription model or loss of productivity doesn't help. Virtualization is a method of allocating computer resources into several separate execution environments. A virtual machine operates in each partition, memory, or disk space, runs its own operating system and application software. The goal is to reduce equipment costs, increase support resources available to agents. So you can use virtual machines so you can run multiple operating systems in one server. That allows you to recreate all kinds of problems on your computer without affecting your computer. Outsourcing we talked about earlier, but it's basically onshore. Companies contract with support service providers in the United States. Companies hire fewer support workers internally. That is a trend. Support service providers hire relatively more workers to support external clients. And the employment trend: help desk agents find relatively more opportunities with service providers because you're supporting a lot of companies. There's also offshore outsourcing, which is companies contract with support services provided in other countries, primarily in Asia. Raises a lot of issues. There's quality issues and security issues. Relatively fewer user support jobs with external support providers in the United States, and relatively more support jobs in U.S. companies as internal support workers. Telecommuting is a work style. Telecommuting, full or part-time work performed at a home office for an employer, reduces worker turnover, decreases the need for office space, decreases operating costs, provides greater worker flexibility, reduces employee costs, and concerns about worker productivity, quality, supervision, and confidentiality of information. It's facilitated by VoIP, transmit voice communications over the internet rather than by telephone lines. That's a lot of the reason why support companies in other countries are able to do it as cheaply as they are, because they go over the internet rather than over phone lines. Support portals are websites that provide a single point of access for all support services, sometimes for chat sessions and other things. A technical challenge is to provide accurate information, and a customer service challenge is to provide high-quality user services. The employment trend is less emphasis on telephone skills and greater emphasis on comprehensive training for help desk workers, so you can communicate using all the different methods we mentioned earlier. CRM software meets the needs of each client by providing excellent customer service. So sometimes instead of using the help desk type of product, you'll be using a CRM package instead. Help desk services and user support are part of the larger business and government agency challenge to successfully manage the entire spectrum of client relationships. So we covered lots of different topics: help desk operations, steps in incident management, information technology infrastructure library, ITIL, physical environments, job stress, software packages, automated tools, web and email support, and the trends that are happening in the future. So that concludes our Module 3 summary and all the different topics that were covered.